Hey, welcome to our workshop on conquering that MTBC exam. And I do believe that you would be able to use this information for the exam that you have to take if you're in Canada, if you're in Australia. A lot of the principles are the same because a lot of the very definition of a standardized test is that it's standardized. Okay, so thank you so much for coming. Oh, good, Lily is here. Okay, good. So I'm going to share a little bit about why we're doing this and a little introduction and some quick little strategies, and then we're going to get into pulling on the guests like Lily and Carrie and Kathrine. I'm really honored to do this. We haven't done a whole lot of exam prep in the past, and it's because we've been busy with other things, but I do believe this is going to be an ongoing thing, like at least annual, maybe even twice a year, that we're going to keep doing for you guys. For your students and interns, when you become internship directors, you're going to want to help your interns pass the exam. So we are probably going to turn this into a continuing thing. So glad you're here. Thanks, guys. It sounds like you can hear me and everything. So go ahead and chime in. Let me know if there's any audio stuff or video stuff going on. Would love to hear your feedback on how everything's going. So my why, I truly believe that the power that you have inside of yourself as a budding music therapist, I believe your potential within for being a great music therapist is higher than what an exam may deem you as being worthy or not. Okay? Now, this is not to say that I don't believe in our credential, because I love our credential, and having a standardized test in order to define who becomes a music therapist and who doesn't is the only way to do it. But I believe in your power I believe in you way more than I believe in a test's ability to deem whether you are worthy or not. And that's why I firmly believe that anybody can pass this test. Real quick, my story. I became a Princeton Review instructor 17 years ago, because when I took the SAT, I realized, I looked into my future. I'm like, I'm going to be up against a lot of standardized tests in my career or in my schooling, academic career, regular career, and ongoing. And I thought in grad school, I need to make some extra money. How about if I learned the skill of teaching standardized tests and acquire that skill? And so I did. And what I did in Los Angeles is it was the coolest thing ever. I became an SAT instructor. They have a very strict protocol for teaching how to pass standardized tests. I went to the poorest neighborhoods in Los Angeles, Watts, Compton. There were these grants that supported Princeton Review in bringing SAT prep to these neighborhoods, these low-income neighborhoods in Los Angeles. And so that's how I worked my way through my first year of grad school at USC. And it was the most fulfilling, rewarding work to see these kids come in. You never know what lies ahead in their future. They came in, and after 8 weeks with the Princeton Review, with the SAT prep work, they were making 1,400 and 1,500 scores on the SAT and landing into amazing schools. And a standardized test. Let me tell you about a standardized test. And this is what every test board looks at, okay? They look at the bell curve. Okay, so you've got everything from failed it over here, all the way up to most people pass it probably, and then a few people ace it, right? And so the board determines where to put this line. Well, are we going to make it to where fewer people fail it, or are we going to make it to where more people fail it? Okay, they determine where to put that line between passing and failing. And so, looking at this bell curve, you know that they gear the test towards what the average test taker how the average test taker is going to behave on this exam, okay? Knowing this is so much power for you to know. You've got to know the big picture and what's in the mind of the people writing the test. So therefore, you know that with the MTBC exam, with any standardized test, there are going to be questions that are going to be easy, medium, and hard, okay? And if you are looking at a question and you're able to determine whether this question is easy, medium, or hard, you have so much power, and I'll tell you why. The problem is that the average test taker spends so much time on the hard questions, gets them wrong anyway, and then flips through the easy questions so fast that they make careless mistakes. And then the medium questions are kind of like hit or miss, okay? That is the biggest problem. That is what the average test taker will do. And that's what the exam writers are depending on you to do, regardless of your approach, regardless of what university you're coming from, regardless of your internship, regardless of what books you're reading. The board, the exam writers want to make it so that some questions are easy, some questions are medium, and some questions are hard, regardless of your approach. And that's why they mix it up, right? You can see they have questions based on various approaches. So, therefore, you need to be able to determine which questions are easy, medium, and hard for you, specifically for you, so that when you are up against a hard question in the very beginning of the test, this is time management, guys, time management. Let me rein it in and tell you, this is time management 101 when taking standardized tests. When you're at question number 4, and for you, because your background is neurologic, okay, your background is NMT, maybe you're coming from Colorado State, and number 4 is all about psychodynamic, and you have no idea. So this question is really hard for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to write down, you're going to use the paper that you get in there, okay, and you're going to write down number 4 right under hard, circle it, so that you skip it and you come back later. Because you do not, the last thing you want to do is waste all your precious time on your hardest questions. Because then you're going to get nervous, and then you're going to get through to the easy questions and be like, well, I don't have time. So it looks easy, so I'm just like, that's not the way to approach this. You want to approach this in a brilliant mind, I'm telling you, the Jedi mind tricks is where it's at, okay? So 2 pieces of paper you have in the exam room, you have to use them. Use them. Do not use them, okay? Your paper is more valuable than your wallet or your cell phone combined, okay? Maybe even more valuable than the entire cost of your college tuition, because this exam is going to determine whether you're going to be a music therapist or not, right? No pressure, but look, don't think of it as pressure. Think of it as, I have a job to do. Here we go. Laser focus, baby. And I know that the exam wants to make sure that I spend all my time on the hard questions and go really fast through the easy questions so that I make careless mistakes and get all the hard questions wrong and get all the easy questions wrong too, because I went too fast. That's what is in the standardized test. That's built into standardized tests, okay? So here's how to conquer it. When you come up to a hard question, you write the number right down here. And if you need to skip it because you don't want to waste your precious time and you want to spend your time on the medium and easy questions, then you write that number right here and you circle it so you know you're going to come back to it. If there is a medium question that you're unsure of and you want to come back to, write the number down here and circle it. And if there are any easy questions, you can feel free to use this column, or you can ignore this column. It's up to you. But when you're taking the practice examination, it's also important to use the paper. Start practicing this now, okay? So that you can start identifying which questions are hard, which questions are medium, and which questions are easy, okay? That way, when you get to a hard question, like I mentioned before, you get to a hard question, you're like, okay, this is a hard question. I see that. I'm above this hard question. I'm going to conquer this hard question by coming to it later. Okay. Now, when you get to easy and medium questions, and this goes for hard questions too, eventually, but you're not going to get to the hard questions at the beginning. The hard questions are for the end. When you get to the easy and medium questions, it's very important to use the second piece of paper that you have in the exam room. Because when you're on the computer screen and you see A, B, C, D are your choices, the computer does not allow you to eliminate the ones that are wrong. And so therefore, highly recommend, if you don't do this, I'm telling you, you're missing out. This is the way to conquer it, okay? It doesn't have to do with how smart you are, how good you are at school, or what you were born with, or the brains that you have. Nothing to do with that. Simply has to do with taking the action of writing down, for, let's say number one is a good question and there are some answers that you're not sure of. You're not going to be able to eliminate them on your computer screen. So what you want to do is write down the number and all the letters, and you want to look at the ones that are absolutely incorrect and then cross them off on your paper so that you can see it on your paper. Because if you're just looking at the computer screen, you're going to forget, oh, A, did I eliminate that one? Is A eliminatable? I don't remember. So you want to write it down, okay? You want to write it down so there's a visual. And then when you're eliminating answers, you want to keep in mind, of course, and people have mentioned this in their takeovers too, many times, but you want to remember that the CBMT is never going to want you to violate HIPAA, never going to want you to violate any policies that are any facility policies, okay? They're never going to want you to advocate for harming clients, and all these pretty common sense things. But when you're seeing them all on the screen and they're all mixed up together, then it can really throw you off. And so if there's any answer whatsoever that has to do with any of that crazy violation or violating laws, violating regulations, then you cross it off immediately. Or harming clients or anything that goes against the ethics, code of ethics, obviously, cross it off and write it down on your piece of paper, okay? Kind of want to leave this up here so you guys remember, use your paper, use your paper, use your paper. Okay. So those are, remember, there's a percentage who fails it. The board gets to decide who gets to be on this line and that line. The board also gets to decide where to put the line, okay? Here's the bell curve. Most people pass it, and then a few people ace it. And so what you want to do is you want to realize that they're writing this test. I don't care if you failed it or you aced it. I don't care what you did in the past. From this moment moving forward, realize that they see you as the average test taker. And you're not going to be the average test taker, because the average test taker spends too much time on the hard questions, not enough time on the medium questions, and flies through the easy questions and gets them all wrong because they're making careless mistakes. So do not spend too much time on the hard questions that you might get wrong anyway. Spend all your time with the medium and easy questions. Okay, now I'm going to pull in a guest, you guys, and we're going to dig into this further. Those are my tips coming from, like standardized test stuff. And Haley, I'm going to pull in Haley. Here we go. Here she comes. Haley is a friend of mine in San Diego, and she passed her exam, I want to say maybe a year ago. So the system is adding her. She runs a private practice in San Diego. Hi, here she is. I'm doing great. Haley, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm Haley. I'm an MTVC in San Diego, and I just sat for my board exam this last spring, so I'm pretty new. And so I have a couple of tips that I used when I took my test that I just wanted to share because they were really helpful to me. And just to start off, like, I'm a terrible test taker. It's the worst thing for me. It's not fun. I don't do well. None of it is easy. And I passed the board exam on my first go. So I felt that these tips were really helpful for me. So hopefully they'll be helpful for you too. So my first piece of advice is to lower the stakes for yourself. Don't stress yourself out being like, I have to pass the first time. I'm so stressed out. You don't need to do that to yourself. So a way to lower the stakes can be, if I don't pass, I'll take it again and I'll do better next time. But if I do pass, then that's great and I never have to do this again. So lowering those stakes for yourself, I think, can take away a lot of that test anxiety and help you to kind of ground yourself before you go into the test. Another great piece of advice I was given was to take the practice exam. It gives you a really good idea of what the test looks like and how they phrase the questions. So some questions might be asking for something different than other questions, and learning how to read them and really taking your time when you're reading them and understanding what they're asking for is really, really important. So just take your time, but know that you're on a schedule, and understand what they're asking before you answer. And that goes into when you do answer, believe and trust yourself. You know all of this stuff. You've been through all of your education. You've been through your classes. You have had your practicum supervisors help you. You have had your internship supervisors help you. And you know this stuff. You're ready to be a professional if you're taking this test. So it's really, really important that if your gut says to go with an answer, go with that. Don't second guess yourself, because that's where you'll trip yourself up. You know this. You don't have to worry. Just have faith in yourself. And then guessing. So I was given the fantastic advice by someone during my internship that when you make an educated guess, wrong answers don't count against you. Right answers only count for you for the MTVC exam. So if you're making an educated guess, it's better than not guessing at all.
Good.
So if you're down to 2 answers and you don't know, just pick one. You have a 50-50 chance. It's better to just pick one. And I think that might be one of the reasons why I passed on the first go. And then my last piece of advice is to have a ritual. So for me, I wrote on the top of my paper, you can do it, everything will be fine, you know this stuff. And then every time you look down at your paper, you have that kind of encouragement. Or some people use essential oils, some people do like a mantra for themselves, or like rub a pattern on their arm. Any of that is great, and if you feel yourself getting stressed out, just look at your mantra, yes. Do your things, smell your oils, you will be okay. So yeah, that's my advice.
I love that. Have that as an anchor. I love that. I especially love the advice of answer every question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't want to leave any blank, because it takes away your chances of getting points for that at all.
Beautiful. Oh. Beautiful. Haley, thank you so much. I know you have a bunch of clients to see today, and I really appreciate you taking out your time to join us and help those who come after us and our future.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see you again soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. And now we're going to bring on Lily. Going to, let's see here, bring Lily on the, okay, we're adding Lily. So Lily Grand is based in Oregon, and she says, now she has been, hey, okay, let me just brag on you for a second. Okay, so Lily and I have been friends for a really long time. We're on the board of the Western region for AMTA for many years, and we got to know each other so well. And she is like, oh, like when I think Lily, I just think, oh, my heart just grows bigger. Lily has been a mentor to students, interns, new professionals for many years. And she is like a big mama bear. If you ever need any help with anything, Lily will open her arms so wide. I mean, I'm going to cry, because Lily will open her arms so wide and just take you in under her wing and make you feel better. Seriously. So I want to introduce you to Lily. Even if you don't know Lily, you can count on Lily, because she is full of love. There's just like unconditional love that pours out of her body. So thank you so much, Lily, for being here. And Lily says that after speaking to music therapists, after speaking to students and interns, after 20 minutes talking to interns, they usually, I don't know what your success rate is. They almost always pass the exam. I don't know what the success rate is, but anyway, like she has great success.
It's like 99%.
It's like 99%. So please take it away.
All right, great. Hi, guys. First, you want to know that the board certification exam is passable. You just want to know that. And you don't have to be one of those people that aces it. My dog also wants to be in the video. So you don't have to be one of the people that aces it. You want to give yourself some freedom to barely pass.
Yeah.
It's okay. The thing is a pass fail. And the majority of people pass.
Exactly.
And if you do fail, Your life is not over.
Exactly.
You can't take the exam again. It's not a problem. And then the second time, you actually know what it looks like and feels like to take the exam. The other thing is, if this is your second time taking the exam, you want to know no two exams are the same. The way that our exam works is there are a certain number of questions in each category, and then the computer randomly selects a certain number from that category to put into your exam. So you could take the exam again and never see a duplicate question. There are so many questions in the pool. And then what happens is those questions remain in the pool for a certain amount of time. I think it's like 5 years. And then they get retired. Retired questions go on the practice exam. So you're not going to see the questions from the practice exam. The practice exam is for you to get used to this type of questioning and to see the types of questions that are asked, not specifically like those questions, right?
Right.
So it's always good to take the practice exams, absolutely,
Yes.
but know that you're not going to see those questions, right? The other thing is the best study guide is the Intro to Music Therapy book. The 2 Intro to Music Therapy books, those are your best study guides. So, and I know that those were in probably the very first music therapy course you took. So it's been a little bit since you were in those books. Go back to those books. Those are the best study guide. If this is your second time taking the exam, you also want to do whatever work you need to do to be complete with that experience. To have that be complete for you. And know that this is the first time, like go in with that beginner's mindset of this first time I'm taking it. This is, I didn't take this test before, because that's actually accurate. Okay.
So like with curiosity, like a mindset of, curiosity, openness, instead of, like, don't be hard on yourself. Like
fresh and confident. Fresh and confident. Right. And like, here's the other thing is you want to go in with the mindset of I'm already a music therapist.
Yes.
Who I am, like to every fiber of my being, who I am is a music therapist. I'm just going to answer some questions about that. Listen, people ask you questions about that all the time. That's not anything new. So you're already a music therapist. You're just going to answer some questions about that. Okay? So mindset really does make a huge difference. And something that plays into your mindset is your physical well-being. So
Absolutely.
3 consecutive days prior to the exam, you want to get sufficient sleep. Get adequate rest. You want to drink plenty of water. Be completely hydrated. Watch your nutrition. 3 consecutive days prior. I mean, we should all do that all the time, but
That's
let's
doable.
be straight. We don't.
But 3 days is like doable, right?
3 days is doable. Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, I want to say too, I know we have a lot of brilliant people and amazing people who passed the exam or didn't pass the exam, had experiences. So if you have tips, leave them in a comment below. Just keep writing your tips. I'm seeing tips pop up in the comments. I love to see more tips. I just want to insert that real quick. Okay, Lily, all yours.
Perfect. Great. Yeah. And then the morning of the exam or the day of the exam, do something that is really nurturing for you. And I don't know what that is. You do. Dance. Have a piece of chocolate cake. I don't know, right? But something that is really nurturing, bubble bath. Something really nurturing for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Eat high protein meals so that you're well nourished. Don't go into the exam hungry. You have 3 hours to be there, and you want to be really well nourished. And protein's great for your brain and for concentration.
Yeah.
And then
And it'll
also
keep your blood sugar levels steady too. Yeah, and it'll help like even out your sugar levels, because you don't want to go in there like, you know, like, yeah.
exactly.
Steady Eddie,
Exactly.
baby.
So
Steady
if your
Eddie.
nurturing thing is that chocolate cake, you want to counterbalance that too, okay?
What's the oatmeal and cinnamon? Okay. When you said nurturing, it's so funny. The first thing I thought of was oatmeal, cinnamon, nutmeg. You know. And I love
okay.
I
Now
love,
we know that's, yeah,
everybody's got
that's
their
awesome.
thing.
Yeah. And you want to wear really comfortable clothing. You're going to be in a chair for 3 hours, right? So wear comfortable clothing, but look good. Because if you look good, you feel good.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure you look good, okay? You bring water with you. Now, there's 2 reasons to do that. One is to keep yourself hydrated. The other is to give your brain a check. So if you get frustrated or you get confused and you're like bogged down, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Stop. Take a drink of water.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Take a deep breath. Go back. Reread it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see something that you didn't see. And there's literally a neurological thing going on with that. So that's a reason to bring water with you. I think it has to be in a clear plastic bottle, though. I don't think that you can do something like this, because you might, I don't know, hide notes or something. Anyway, they have rules about that. Just check into that. I don't know what those are. Okay, so then when you're taking the exam, and Kat alluded to this earlier, you want to answer all of the easy questions first. Because there's going to be 3 categories of questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ones that are easy for you, ones that are confusing for you, and ones that you have no clue about. Right? So you want to answer the easy ones first. Just answer them. If you're like, oh, it's very clear that answer is C. If you are like that sure about it, though, you want to go back and reread the question. Because that mistake that Kat was talking about, when people speed through the easy ones, is because they haven't really read exactly what is it that they're asking here. Mm-hmm. And you're going to answer a what to a where question.
Mm.
So you want to make sure that you know what is it that they're asking for. If they're asking a who, then, you know, the answer is going to be a person, not a what answer.
Ooh.
Right? So you want to really read the question. So even if you're positive, go back and reread it before you answer it.
I love you. Okay? I love that you said that, because if an answer is a who answer, but it's asking a what question, but you know that who is would be right. You know, since it's a who answer to a what question, you have to cross that off. Cross it off. Yep. Even if it looks right, cross it off.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So go back and reread the question. I promise you have time. 3 hours. When you're sitting in the seat, it doesn't seem like a lot of time. It's plenty of time. I promise you it's plenty of time.
Elizabeth is saying, my understanding is that you are not allowed to take anything with you into the room with you whatsoever. However, I don't know if they offer you the paper, but you can definitely, like, I've spoken to a couple of people who just recently took it. You have paper. You have blank paper for sure. I'm hoping that they let you bring water, but I don't know about that detail. But
a lot of the test centers may have water available in the room too. And that's always good too. If you're frustrated or bogged down, especially towards the end of the exam when you're taking on those hard questions, you can stand up, go get yourself a glass of water, come back. And even that act of standing up, right?
And then Allison is saying, does the testing center provide the 2 pieces of paper? So here's what I would do, Allison. I would call the test center ahead of time and ask them that question so that you know the answer and you have the information and you feel confident going in. Because probably yes, but it might be no. And so you might want to take your own, if you don't want to go in with any questions unanswered, call them and ask them. That simple.
Yeah. Okay, people are saying that, yeah, they do give you 2 pieces of paper.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
and a pencil.
Yay.
Okay, good. And then, oh, so you're going to go through, you're going to answer those easy questions first, reading them twice. And then you're going to go through and you're going to answer those medium questions, right? And on the medium questions, now you got to know the exam committee works very, very hard to have more than one answer look correct. They really do. And so you really want to look at what is it that they're asking, which one is the best fit, which is the best fit. So you're going to cross out the ones that you know are not correct, right? And then which one is the best fit. Now I'm going to tell you a little secret about our exam. It's specific to our exam. If you want to argue with the test makers, you can do that. In our exam, there is a text box on each question. You type your argument into that text box.
Oh.
Now, yeah. Now, they don't see, if you pass, great, they don't see that. Okay, they're not going to see your argument. But if you come real close to passing, but don't pass, and you used this strategy that I'm giving you, I'm telling you, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom right here. If you come real close to passing, but not, and you've done this, you've made your argument for why you picked the one that you picked, or why there is no good answer, or like at the hospital where I did my internship, our policy was this. So I believe that's the answer you're looking for, but I, you know, our policy was this. So there's why there's 2 good answers here, or there's no good answer here, because in my experience, this, or, you know, we were taught this, right? So you want to make those kinds of arguments, not like y'all are dumb chucks and we need to, you know what I mean? Not that kind of argument, but like kind of, here's why I'm saying what I'm saying in my answer,
Right.
or why there's no good answer here. And you want to put your rationale in that text box. Now, you're not going to want to do that for a lot of questions.
Yeah,
but
just the hardest.
You're like just the really tough ones, right?
The hard ones. And still answer it. Don't leave it blank, because...
And still, oh my goodness, yeah, do not leave any question blank. Right. I mean, shoot, there's like, what, 4 answers, A, B, C, D? You've got a 25% chance, even if you don't eliminate any answers, right? So,
and as Haley said, and I think you probably know this too, like, they don't mark you for getting the wrong answers. They, like, you know, it doesn't work like that. And so to answer is better than not to answer.
That's right. That's right. Don't leave a question blank at the end of the exam, even if it means, oh, shoot, I've got 5 minutes left and I've got 10 questions unanswered. Great. Just make a random guess on them.
Yeah.
Totally good. So the reason then for putting something in that text box is if you come real close, real close, like within a couple points of passing, but you haven't passed, you can request hand scoring.
Ooh.
Hand scoring means that more than one music therapist will go in and hand score your exam.
I had no idea.
Scoring, I know people don't know this. In the hand scoring of your exam, they will take into account the arguments that you put into those text boxes.
Okay.
And that may be the 2 more points that you needed to pass.
Okay. Beautiful.
So just even know, and then even knowing that too, it puts your mind at ease. Well, I've made my argument. I can request hand scoring if I want to. And then you're not getting all bound up as you're taking the exam. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to say your piece. Say your piece.
Love it.
Totally fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Lily, this is invaluable. Like, seriously, I've learned something new from Haley. I've learned something new from you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you're welcome. How do you request hand scoring? Oh, you call the certification board.
Okay. You just call them up.
Yeah, you may need to send them a email, making a formal request. I don't know, but yeah. Now, and here's the thing. If you employ the strategies that you're getting today, you're not even going to need it.
Right.
Like, you're not even going to need it.
Right.
You have successfully passed a rigorous education. You have successfully passed an internship.
Yeah.
And, that's no small feat. And
That's right.
who you are is a music therapist. And you're just going to answer some questions about that.
Exactly. I love it. You have just diffused all of my pent-up pressure and stress around this. Yeah, thank you, Lily. So nice. So nice. Yeah, you can request hand scoring even if you have not typed in arguments. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Isn't that true, Lily?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Here's the thing. Hand scoring is not going to get you a better score if you did not.
Right. If you didn't write an argument.
If you didn't write any arguments, it won't do any good because there's nothing for them to alter, right? The right answer is the right answer. The computer knows that. So hand scoring wouldn't do you any good. The only time hand scoring would do you any good is if you made any arguments in the text boxes.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why it's important. Like if you come across hard questions, remember this sheet. One of the sheets you're going to use is going to easy, medium, and hard. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know the answers to these. I'll just put an answer now, but I'm going to circle it so I come back to it later when I have time at the end. And then I'm going to write down an argument why I think my answer is right. Okay. So do not waste all your time in the beginning or middle of this test taking experience on the hard questions. On the hard questions. That's not a good time management strategy, right? You want to go in with a clear head. You are on this. You are like above. You are above the exam. You're a person. The exam is a piece of paper. You are above. You are a beautiful human being. And so just know that, and know that you're going to take your sweet time with those easy questions using the process of elimination strategy that we talked about too, where you're going to write it down and you're going to cross them off when they're, use your paper your paper in that test, more valuable than your wallet or your cell phone combined.
Best friend. Yeah. And the only time you can request the hand scoring is after the exam anyway. Right. So you can't request that at the testing center. Okay. So you would request that of CBMT afterwards. Sure. But yeah, and then the last thing I want to say is there are going to be questions on there that you have no clue. None.
Right.
You don't know. That is okay.
It's okay.
Don't get up in your head and be like, oh my gosh, how do I not know this? My teachers didn't tell me. And then make everybody wrong, right? You're making your teachers wrong that they didn't teach you that, or you wrong that you didn't know that, or the test makers wrong because that's a stupid question, or you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
totally.
So just be like, wow, hey, there's one. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay. You don't have to get a 99% on this thing to pass.
Exactly. You don't.
So, bump.
You just have to, most people will pass it, and that's okay. They set it up, and they decide where this line is, and that's okay. Because we're all in the same boat. We all go in there like vulnerable and naked, and we all have questions that we have no idea about because of our background, because of our experience in our internship, and it's okay.
Yeah. And the it is the rare employer that actually wants to see your score.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
Like, you're board certified or you're not. It's
exactly.
it's just that simple, right? So you are fine to be the person that is just above the line.
Absolutely.
So fine.
Erin is asking, can you get multiple scratch pieces of paper or just one? Call the test center ahead of time and ask them.
I think the standard is pieces. I think
I think
that's
it is.
what the certification board has approved.
I think you're right. So I'm going to, okay, I'm going to pull on Carrie Whatley now as our next guest. Lily, mwah, thank you so much. I love you. Okay. I'm
Good
going
luck,
to pull
everybody.
thanks, guys. Okay. I'm going to pull on Carrie now. And just going to hit this little button here. Okay. Going to pull on Carrie as our next guest. And, well, Carrie, I'm trying to find you, honey. Carrie, it's still not showing up, my friend. Oh, wait, let's see here. Carrie wants to be in my video. There she is, approve. Okay, so Carrie is coming on. Hey, Lily, I think you gotta, can you,
what do I need to do?
Can you just X out? I don't know. If you can X out of the window? It's,
Yes.
Let me see.
Maybe.
Oh, wait, I can X you out. Oh, there she goes. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, Carrie is coming. Carrie told me that she's extremely passionate about this topic. Carrie, please, hi, I'm so happy that you're joining us. Please introduce yourself to us and let us know, give us a couple of your tips. And I know you have a client, so just, manage your time here.
Sure. My name is Carrie Whatley. I am recently board certified as of the end of May and working my absolute dream at Brookdale Hospice in Columbus, Ohio. So super happy to do this because it's still super fresh in my mind. And I'm really passionate just helping people get to the next step and starting their careers. So I kind of broke it down into two different areas. There's our prep area and then there's actual exam day. And one of the biggest things for me with my prep was time management, as a lot of other people have stated, and also finding my niche in retaining things the most. And so for me, I wanted to make sure that I took at least a month every day studying something. And with that, making sure that I didn't completely overwhelm myself with everything. I think looking at our education, it's super easy to be like, oh my gosh, I have to cram 4 years and an internship worth of education into a month of studying and then take a test on it.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is I like to pick one chapter of a textbook or one population in particular, one set of flashcards, and focus on that for the day to really let my brain absorb the information and know what I was learning and know what my strength areas are and what I still have to work on. So I was guilty of this at first. So just make sure that you're really breaking it down appropriately and not overwhelming yourself from the beginning.
Okay.
And with that, I also was experimenting throughout this different ways of retaining this information. As I said, it was a lot to learn and to remember. And so I wanted to try a bunch of different tactics. And so I read a bunch of books. I took notes, pages and pages of notes. But the thing that I found that was really effective was visual resources and then also auditory resources, which I think a lot of us don't realize is a really good reference, but it is. So just to show an example of my chicken scratch, with the Piaget cognitive development, language, musical development, it's a whole bunch of information to learn if we just have a string of notes, page after page. And so I made like a timeline that was very visual, very brief, and to the point. And it really helped me remember the information a lot more than me reading 20 pages of notes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I also found myself recording occasionally, just like reading through my notes, because I think it's easier for me as a musician who uses her ears all the time to listen to notes being read, kind of like a lecture, instead of me reading them on a page. So those are some of the things that I found to be really effective. A couple resources that I used that were super helpful were the Suzanne Hanser's New Music Therapist Handbook. Really got me into the mindset of our process as board certified music therapist, all the way from referral through termination, and then specific strategies for different approaches and different populations and stuff like that. Also, I used the self-assessment exam Form B.
Okay.
So I actually took both of them, but I found Form B to be a lot more helpful. But either one of them is a really good tool. I know they're kind of expensive, but they are worth every single penny.
I'm hearing that from a lot of people. I'm hearing that a lot of people are saying that. Yeah, thanks for validating that and sharing that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was helpful with familiarizing myself with the format of the test. It looks exactly the same. And so when I walked into the testing center, I didn't have to go through all of the instructions on how to take it and what the buttons did. I already knew how to do that. And also the wording of the questions was very similar to the wording of the questions on the actual exam. So that just kind of calmed my nerves a lot. So it wasn't all completely new.
Awesome.
Another thing, I used the MTBC study group on Facebook. It's a private Facebook group, and a lot of people go on there to kind of collaborate, share their struggles, share their resources, do electronic study groups together. And that was just really reassuring to know that I wasn't alone in the process. Like you said, Kat, everyone goes through this at one point or another when they're getting board certified. So it was really nice to have that community to be able to share with. So, okay, so that was my prep.
So real quick, someone's asking the practice test you can get from not the CBMT website, right? I think it's separate, right? It's a separate, the prep test.
I believe.
Or is it from
I believe I purchased it on the CBMT website.
Never mind.
So they have a section that you can purchase them.
Perfect.
And yeah.
So Christina, hopefully that answers your question. Wendy is asking if you could repeat that. The point you made before your last point was, because you were breaking up just slightly. So the point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. The point you made before the last point. Sorry.
That's okay. Was that the study group?
Before the study group.
Before the study group. With the visuals.
Oh, okay. You know what? So Wendy, hit us up later with a comment and let us know exactly what it was that you missed. And you can also, you guys, this recording is going to be around forever. We're never, ever going to take this workshop off from Professional Success Facebook group. Okay. It will always be here for you. So you know, you can always go back and watch it. It was something about the exam, she says, but that's okay. Keep moving forward. If it doesn't come to you, that's okay. Just keep moving forward and we'll tackle it later.
Okay.
Wendy, we got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more point I just wanted to make, with just overwhelming amounts of information. 2 resources that I used that were especially helpful other than the self-exam was, like I said, the Hansard's New Music Therapist Handbook and also the DGT Intro to Music Therapy book.
DGT, yeah.
Yeah.
Davis, Gfeller, and Thaut is DGT, by the way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So instead of going through that whole thing and becoming completely overwhelmed, I took the chapters of the populations that I was the least familiar with, and again, kind of broke down the information into a visual, so it was a lot more brief. And then I also went through the glossary of terms and kind of familiarized myself with definitions that I didn't know as well, and wrote them on a note card and carried it around in my wallet and read it every day, just every single day, not trying to memorize it, just to get it in my brain.
Yeah.
So, okay, so during exam day, probably the most important tip that I have and that everyone else has mentioned is that positive mindset. One thing that I did, because I have terrible test anxiety, was I created a mantra for myself. This was something that I learned in internship that was really effective before going into a session, or when I was reflecting, or when I had periods of anxiety. I kind of just took a moment to breathe, relax, and say, I'm here, I worked really hard, and I'm going to do my absolute best in this. Yes. And so, yeah. And also, know that when you enter the testing center, which a lot of people don't realize, but if you go early, they'll probably get you right in. instead of waiting until your test time. So don't wait until you get to the testing center to do this. You want to be able to focus yourself and calm yourself, you know, the night before, the morning of, while you're eating breakfast, driving to the testing center. Just really mentally and physically prepare yourself for it when you get in there, because once you get in the testing center, they're going to take your stuff and they're going to send you in. So
Beautiful.
Another one is just staying focused. The test is really long. It's really exhausting. It doesn't feel like it in there, but it is. I remember about 2/3 of the way through, I was like, my brain is mush. So staying focused and making sure that you're doing mental check-ins with yourself, trusting your knowledge, and knowing that a lot of the time your first answer is correct. So don't dwell on a question. Don't waste a bunch of time on it. Right. Trust your gut. Really unsure. Narrow it down to two multiple choice options, like you had said. And I actually took it a step further, and I wrote down the two that I was battling against, and then underlined the one that I was a little bit more certain of.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Love that.
So that way I didn't have to spend as much time going back and rereading the question and reprocessing. I already kind of had an answer in mind, but I just wanted to reread it and look at it one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going off of that, what I had done with the scratch paper is very similar to what you were talking about, Kat. I just wrote things a little bit differently. So when I narrowed it down, I underlined the one that I was a little bit more certain of, and then came back later. Like everyone else has said, don't leave anything blank. So mark the one you think is correct, and then come back to it later. And then if one was something that I was completely unsure of, I actually wrote guess. So I put it next to the number and wrote guess, and if I had time to come back, I would come back.
Perfect.
Still put, but it was a guess. And that actually kind of served as a motivator, weirdly enough, because even though I was guessing on these questions, it showed me that from question 1 to 150, I only had maybe 15 questions that had guess on them. And so it showed me, hey, I'm pretty confident in what I know. The fact that I only have 15 questions that were 100% guesses out of 150 is reassuring to me.
Yeah.
That was a motivator that I didn't really expect, but it was super helpful walking out and not feeling like I failed the test.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, just
awesome.
Continue to with yourself, stretch in your seat. Don't let yourself get locked up and too focused in on that anxiety. Click the time button on the exam to reveal the 3-hour clock. It's kind of anxiety provoking, but at the same time, it was really helpful to have that countdown to keep my eye on it, because technically 50 questions per hour is only about 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Right.
And so if you're spending 5 minutes on a question, you're technically already 4 or 5 questions behind.
Exactly. So, that's why you got to know whether it's easy, hard, or medium. And the best thing to do with your practice test is to practice identifying which ones are easy, medium, and hard, so that you spend most of your time on the easy and medium ones and the least of your time on the hard ones. Okay, because what every standardized test board knows is that the average test taker spends too much time on the hard questions and gets them wrong anyway, then flies through the easy and medium questions and makes careless mistakes. This is what every standardized test exam board knows and plays with when they're creating the bell curve. So you don't want to do that, you guys. You don't want to fall into the trap of spending too much time on the hard questions. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Carrie, this is so helpful. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on passing your exam in May. Woo!
Yeah, thank you.
And welcome to the club. It's been so great to hear your perspective, a fresh perspective, someone who has just taken the exam. So this is really, really validating. and really helpful. You guys give her a virtual round of applause while I bring on Kathrine Lee. Thank you, Carrie, so much. Enjoy your clients today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. See you guys.
Okay. Yes, so happy to have Carrie join us, and now we're going to pull on Kathrine Lee. Kathrine is amazing, you guys. One second, allow your, 1 second, I'm going to pull her on. Sorry, this is going to take, Kathrine, if you could request one more time, I'm just going to send her a little message asking her to request to join us. Kathrine, what Kathrine did in the very merry month of April or May, I think, for people in the Western region is she did a workshop on passing the exam. And it helped so many people in the Western region. It was specific to WRAMTA. And I know that she's very passionate about this. She is just a year into her MTBC. And so I cannot wait to have her join us here. Let's see here. Okay, 1 second. I am working on it. There she is. Pulling her in here. There we go. Okay, any second she's going to pop up on the screen and teach us what she knows. And hi.
Hi.
Hey, hello, beautiful friend. Okay, please introduce yourself to us and give us your tips. Lay it on us.
Yeah, so I'm Kathrine, as Kat said. I live in Boise, Idaho. Small but mighty here. And I'm super excited to be here. Hopefully you can see me. I'm like blending in with the wall right now.
You look like an angel. You are. She is a test angel among us.
I'm,
okay.
you know, doing what I can. So I wanted to pop on and kind of support a little bit what Kat has been talking about all week with those tips and strategies and those Jedi mind tricks of how can I be a good test taker? How can I do this? And I think that also plays into how can I prepare myself to succeed? And so I liked what Carrie was talking about with the prep stuff, figuring out how studying is going to work for you. So when I took my exam last April, so about a year and a half ago, I watched a bunch of the takeovers that Kat had done, and it was like, I read a book every month for 6 months, and I did all of this, and I did all of that. And that freaked me out because that's not how I study. I'm like, so for me, I probably studied the least of anyone you'll ever talk to.
Me too.
Because that's what works for me. But again, what Kat was saying earlier in the week of how can I learn from what these people are saying? I took read the code of ethics, read the standards of practice, review those, but I didn't read them 12 times a day or every day for a week. I did it what I needed to do to feel like I was prepared. So make sure that you are aware of that. You just spent 4 years in school. There's different study techniques, that you probably learn what is going to work best for you to feel successful going into that exam. Because it's about you. It's not about what other people did. It's about what can you take from them to make yourself successful. Yeah. So identifying what you need to prepare. I'm not going to give you a bunch of things to prepare because I think a lot of people have done that and I think it's great and you can find what works for you. So doing that, like Lillieth said, the day of the exam, get up, get yourself ready, look good, but be comfortable.
Yeah.
I like carried it on my way. I sang a little mantra. I sang the second half of Feast or Famine by Robin Rio, if anyone knows that. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. Good things will come my way. Just saying that kind of over and over again as I was going to help keep myself calm. Because it is a big day and it's very easy to get overwhelmed and anxious. So doing something for yourself, that was my nurturing thing, like Lillieth was talking about. Doing something for you as you're getting ready to prepare to get there. Piece of paper. Oh my gosh, yes. I only got one piece of paper, and now I'm a little angry about that, because apparently you're supposed to get two. But the piece of paper was my lifeline, for sure, in that test. So I used it. Well, let me back up. When I was doing the practice exams, they're so helpful. I did worse on my second practice exam than I did my first one. And so that stressed me out. But I used that as my study tool of what are they looking for? You know, my big piece of advice that I got during my internship was your education is valid. Your education got you here. Your internship got you here. You have all the knowledge that you need to know, but you need to put your perspective to the side and look at that standard approach, because that's what they're looking for.
Yes.
I came from a very humanistic perspective, and so we play a lot of what if games, you know. Well, I'm going to do what the client takes me, and then we can do this or this or this or this or this. But if I did that in the exam, I was going to bomb it. And so using the practice exam to look at each question and say, here's the diagnostic information that they're giving me, and use that to determine the answer. And so when I went into the exam, I used that piece of paper, and when I had questions that I wanted to play that what if game with, I would write down, you know, woman, 30 years old, mental health, like those specific criteria, and then only look at that to determine the answer. Because again, like Lillieth said, there's multiple answers that could be correct. And so making sure that you're using what is in the question and not missing anything either, to make sure you have that answer. And again, with the practice exam, it gives you an explanation for every single question. So using that, I remember reading, it's been over a year and a half now that I did this, but remember reading one of the explanations, and it literally said, while this question or this answer could be correct, here's why it's not. And so really using that tool of, it's literally telling you why your answer, though could be correct in a given situation, isn't the most correct for that exam.
It really puts you into the head of the exam writers, which is where you want to be. You don't and what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is you don't necessarily want to be in your humanistic brain that you had school for. In the therapy room, yes, do your thing. But in the exam room, you really want to be in the head of those who wrote the test.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. And really in that standards, again, standardized test, standards. What is the base level of treatment or evaluation or whatever the question is based around? You know, you have to just go back to black and white. Here's what I'm given. Here's what I do. So really paying attention to that, and the practice exams really help with that, and the explanations of the answers really help get you in that mindset.
Yes.
What else did I write down?
Yeah, so Lexi says exactly the answer is in the question. Be sure to read everything carefully and write down keywords. Don't answer a who, don't use a who answer when the question is a what question, etc.
Yes.
Victoria says, I definitely wish the exam was paper so I could circle and underline stuff, but that's why you get paper, so you can write it down. That's why, so use your paper. So Victoria, that paper is going to be a true lifeline for you, just like it has been for many other people too. Use the paper.
Yes, and with
front
the paper
and back
too, I remember using, when I used paper in like my theory exams and would scribble on the sides, you know, I wrote a fake keyboard on my paper. I, you know, wrote the circle of fifths on my paper. I wrote all these things that, you know, you walk in, and if you have those things in your head, you know, sit and just mind dump for 30 seconds and just write everything down so you have that space to then use in the exam.
And use the paper when you're taking the practice exam as if you were taking the real exam, so that you can get accustomed to, well, how am I going to make sure that this paper is serving me? This is the point of the paper. The paper is there to serve you. So if you're using it on the practice exam, you'll get accustomed. You'll be like, oh, you know what? I scribbled too much in this area. I'm going to scribble on this other area and leave this area clean so that I can use the process of elimination, the A, B, C, D, X, 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 underline, you know, so you will get your own system. You got to practice it. Practice using that paper.
Yes. I would also suggest, if you do the practice exams, don't do it in your house, because you're not going to do your exam in your house. You know, go to a library, put headphones in, go somewhere that is going to be an environment that maybe people are walking by. In my test center, there were people taking all kinds of different tests. So people were getting up and leaving 45 minutes into my test, and I had to stay focused on my exam. So take it somewhere, take it to a library, even if you're in a back corner, but practice going somewhere, giving yourself the time that you need, and doing it in an environment that is foreign, because your testing center will be a foreign environment.
So smart. So smart.
So, and identifying, you know, what, again, how can I be a good test taker? Bringing water. If you can't take it in with you, they will let you take a break typically and walk out to get your water. Do you need headphones? Do you need earplugs? Do you need, you know, what do you need in that day to make that foreign place feel comfortable and be a successful environment for you?
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's all that I wrote down.
Oh my gosh,
a lot of people have said some really great things. So, I mean, I don't want to repeat a bunch of things. So everyone's been amazing today. So I hope that added some.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, please give her a virtual applause here for being with us. Kathrine, I adore you. I adore all of our guests. And I also adore every single person who joined us today. We know that your time is valuable. Our time is valuable too. And so that's why we really wanted to make the most of this time together and make sure that you were getting like chock full of really substantial information that you can really like sink your teeth into and set yourself up for success and take the bull by the horns. Realize that you are bigger than the test. Your potential and your capability, your ability within, your power within is so much bigger than any test could label anybody to be X, Y, and Z. And so know that the test takers are doing their best to set their standards high for our profession. And so therefore, that's why they've got this handy little bell curve, which every standardized test goes by. You know, handful of people ace it. Most people pass it. Handful of people fail it. It's okay. We're all in the boat together. Do not let any kind of label sink into your essence. Any kind of label does not have to do with who you are. You are a music therapist. I don't care what they say. I don't care what the exam says about you. And turn your defeat into curiosity. Please watch this video over and over again. Thank you again so much for watching with us. Remember all of these good tips, and we'll go ahead and put an outline, like bullet points in the caption to kind of break down everything that everybody said. And wishing you the best of luck. I know you can do it. Actually, someone who tuned in today is taking it today at 2 p.m. Eastern. 10, 11. So that's it. Somebody who tuned in today is taking it in 50 minutes, you guys. So if we can all like just sit in silence as soon as we get off of the video and send some good juju. I think her name is Erin, I think. Send her some good juju. Okay. And just know that you are loved, and you're always welcome. You're always welcome to throw down more questions. If you have any, let us know how you're doing. We're here to help. Okay. Bye, guys. Oh my gosh, Christine's taking it tomorrow. Okay, good juju, good juju, good juju. Whoosh.